Hi, this is Matt with State of Flex here with a review for Prey, streaming exclusively on Hala, or Hulu as it's called in most circles. This is a prequel to the film Predator, and like the earliest start point within the whole Predator franchise. And prequels are usually not a great idea. However, when this was announced a year and some change ago, I was kind of excited for it because the one thing I thought that could work conceptually is take the Predator and just put it into a different time period. And something that's farther back could be interesting because there's not the weapons there, right? And I'm happy to say this film delivers. It fires on all cylinders. It is better than any of the other Predator sequels that were to come after. It works because it's a grounded film, far more grounded than any, certainly than the previous one, but than any of the other sequels. Tonally, it's kind of similar to the first one, but it really is its own film with its own feel, its own distinct vision, and it is a lot less glossy than the original film or any of the sequels. It is a film that focuses more on delivering like a visual spectacle of nature rather than a visual spectacle of visual effects or action. A lot of the grandeur of the film comes from the locations, and you get to follow a group of Comanche Native Americans in their own sort of tribal setting in the early 1700s. And you get to experience their world, their locations, in quite beautiful and majestic ways. Your tether to the world around them is pretty strong right from the get-go. And it's following a young woman who is the daughter of sort of the medicine woman of the family, or of the tribe, and the other members of the tribe want her to just sort of follow in her mother's footsteps. But she wants to be a hunter, she wants to be a warrior within the tribe, much like her brother. And everybody's kind of belittling her for that. However, she's studying how the hunting patterns of her tribe and the other people there, while also taking in that which she's learning from her family and whatnot. And the film addresses sort of the sexism of the era in a really kind of interesting way. It doesn't beat you over the head with it, but it seems organic to the story that this film is trying to tell. And you watch this young woman rise into being a warrior, and how this predator brings her up in this world. Now, the one drawback with this is she is given a ton of character development and focus and emphasis. A lot of the other characters shy of her brother don't really get much of character development at all. So when they start getting picked off, you don't really care. It's just more fodder for the predator. That's something that they've never been able to really get right after that first movie. You cared about every single one of those people in that first movie. And this one is much more of a focused character narrative on just this this young woman who's rising to be a warrior, and how she takes from the two sides, the warrior side and the medicinal side, is quite clever. The engagement with the predator that she does is really fascinating and something I really appreciated. I also like that, like I had mentioned, that the predator doesn't have a lot of gloss. You can tell that the predator was practically there the whole time, even when it was invisible, and they just put like the nice sheen over it to make it invisible, and it looks better than any of the previous ones. But I think partially it works better because they were just sort of masking what already was there, and it works to a really strong effect. But even the Predator's weapons seem more primitive, more primal. Then in the sequels that are much more mechanic, including the Predator's face mask is made of bone, looks like some kind of alien bone, which is pretty neat. I just like the look and the vibe of this film. It's directed by, I want to say Dan Trachtenberg, who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane. He's a strong director who's good at making sort of nice atmospheric films. And this one capitalizes on the concept that it provides where the other Predator movies couldn't. Like, shy of the first movie, none of the other movies are able to capitalize on their good premises. The concept of Predator 2 is fantastic. Go from the actual jungle to the urban jungle. But the movie fails to succeed because it is so goddamn obnoxious. It will not stop being annoying long enough for you to give a shit about any of the characters involved. And it's just kind of a hard movie to trudge through. Yeah, the Predator stuff is cool, but anytime you go to the human side of things, the crassness of that LA, future LA that they have is just unwatchable. I'll skip the AVPs because those are kind of a separate beast unto themselves. However, I liked the concepts of both of them, even despite their failings. Predators, Robert Rodriguez's original pitch is a great idea. Picking the world's greatest hunters or predators or warriors and plucking them off of Earth and other planets and then pitting them against each other on this planet with predators is a great concept. The movie is unable to execute it because they don't provide enough aliens, and the people that they give you are kind of just retreads of the first Predator movie. Variants on those characters, largely. There's one or two that are a little different, but largely that's kind of what you get. The Predator is like Studio Notes the movie. Like, Shane Black, I feel like, probably delivered a vision of that movie with lots of ideas, and then the studio had a ton of notes, and rather than fight, he just was like, I'm going to do everything you say, and it's going to be batshit crazy bonkers, and it is, and none of it works. It's kind of fascinating. And also wickedly not funny, which is unusual for Shane Black. But I digress. The point I was trying to make is that conceptually, each of the Predator sequels has something interesting to offer, and not a single one of them is able to capitalize on their interesting premise or interesting concept. This is the first time we were presented with an interesting concept. What would happen if the Predator went back to a time where weapons weren't really what they are now? How would the people be able to fight back? And what we get is something quite interesting and very, very incredibly watchable. It's not quite as good as the first Predator movie, but it is a strong sister film to it, and has an interesting tie to one of the other Predator films, which I won't spoil for you, but it is definitely present there. I give this film a very strong 3 stars, if not 3.5. It is definitely worth your time, worth the effort watching, and I just wish that this would have made it to the big screen. I think it looks good enough that the big screen would have done well for the film, but I also see that each of the Predator films has had diminishing returns at the box office, especially with the previous one, so releasing this theatrically in an unsure time is more of a gamble, and maybe now is not the best time for gambling. But it's too bad that we don't get to see it on the big screen. It is a good movie. Let me know what you thought of Prey down below. Is this your favorite Predator sequel, or were you a fan of Predator 2? A lot of people tell me Predator 2 and Predators are great movies. I have my issues with them. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the film in the comments down below. And where do you think we should go next with the Predator? Should we revisit another time period, another culture maybe, or launch ourselves way into the future and do like a future war with Predator. That could be kind of interesting. Let me know what your ideas in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Peace.